transforming lives. Your transformation starts here.
Hey, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Transforming Lives podcast. I am your host, Tony. So we're going to dive into a recap of my last guest. I think that's definitely important. Instead of waiting to the end, I think it's important for us to step in right now. So whenever, at whatever point you're jumping in, man, thank you for joining. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Share this with an educational buddy, because listen, I started this out as just you're creative, you thoughts and initiatives come to you, and you try to map it out, and you try to have conversations with different individuals to bounce those thoughts off, and get some type of collaboration going and some type of feedback throughout the process. I'll be honest and let you know, I knew this was going to be something great, but it's only 3 guests, and we've looked at 3 individuals, but listening to them, because a part of it is because you're your own team at this point where you are interviewing and editing and going through all that process. You consume the content while you're doing the interview, but then also you consume the content after you go through the editing process. And it's just been some dynamic individuals that have dropped some nuggets that are even tonight, me going back and looking at them, listening to them. So what I want to do today is kind of highlight some of those particular thoughts that were shared. I think it helps us to hear information, see the information, and put that into practice. My most recent guest, and again, this is the last 3 guests from the 50 Educators from 50 States series. I want to highlight a couple of things that was discussed in this process. My last guest is going to be Thomas Adams Jr. He is an administrator at Shirley D. Simmons Middle School in Mississippi, actually Madison County. That was my most recent guest. That was my first live person. So yeah, it was definitely a learning experience, but hey, tell you so much came from that learning experience. And I just appreciate uh, Mr. Adams. His leadership focus is building a culture of excellence through accountability, collaboration, transparency. I can say, as having children that are in the school district, not at that particular school, man, those administrators is dynamic. Don't necessarily go into several stories that I do have, but they have an excellent leadership team, because what I saw at the school my children are at, I see in him and I see in other schools. So it's just this unique accountability that's there and collaboration that's happening. He talked about, successfully implementing framework, which is being present, prepared, professional, which he said that he kind of changed it to respect. And then he's led this school, started the first year he was there, a C rating school according to the Mississippi Department of Education. C rated school to a historical A rating. And there's a lot that he poured out. And we had technical difficulties through that particular session, but we made it through. And to hear the things that he shared, and he made sure that he was discussing, well, he was sharing that it was not just him, it was that team to help push that dream. And he definitely laid a lot of information helpful for educators moving forward. So if you haven't, go ahead and check that out. His particular interview is going to be very helpful. to you as well. My next guest was Crystal Watson out of Cincinnati, Ohio, and her unique journey was uh, one that's worth listening to. One that didn't initially think that she was going to be a teacher, and was going to attack a system. Ended up becoming an administrator in the end. Our leadership focus was promoting equity and cultural responsive teaching while empowering students to embrace learning as a tool of liberation. And that conversation, man, and I would say it was liberating. Even in her speech, conversation, it was just liberating to hear uh, her particular focus, not just in leadership, but also in being an instructional uh, leader. And some of the highlights that she had was advocating for creating safe spaces for students to make mistakes and grow, and emphasize that mistakes are opportunity for growth, right? So many times in math, we're like, you need to be precise, you need to be 100% correct. Uh, but hey, you make mistakes, and from mistakes, you develop different mindsets, you develop different pathways to help you um, then begin to go in another direction or to build something totally different than what you anticipated. Okay. Next leader was Dr. Daryl J. Henson out of Maryland, out of Texas, and he was, yeah, he's a unique individual. Uh, he breathes leadership, and all three do. In the conversation that I had with him, it was almost like a POC leadership meeting all at the same time. So, hey, it was different, you know. And he basically talked about driving systematic transformation through clear systems, high standards, and a commitment to excellence. And he's at Maryland. He's led his school from 10 years of failure to 86 rating, which is in Texas. 86 is going to be a B in 2 years, and emphasize that schools must become allergic to average. And I think he meant all of that. All right. So I wanted to look at a couple of common themes. I think I'm going to touch all of them, so that we can have that conversation. Because that's what's happening for me, is that there are common themes that are being exposed, that are being formulated, because when you start looking at people in different states, maybe in a cluster of an area, you don't get the same. But I think these 8 things are kind of points that were pulled from just kind of going through all of those videos. So stay with me as I walk through this real quick. So I think the first key theme across the series so far is going to be transformative leadership practice. All of my guests emphasize the importance of creating structure, actionable systems that deliver results. And I'm sure that I'm going to hear that throughout the rest of the 47 more to go. I'm going to hear them as well. In equity and access, they champion equity, addressing barriers, implementing cultural responsive teaching to close opportunity. Where, remember Thomas Adams talking about having the support from parents and the school system, so that those excuses that might happen, they're now eradicated, and you got to go do your job. And many places don't necessarily have that opportunity. Next one is a holistic development beyond academic. So for students, scholars that come to school, a lot of times they're not coming to school uh, with this whole idea, well, I have my homework ready and all that good stuff. You can't just develop them just academically. You have to develop them. And education is not just test score. It's about life skills, emotional intelligence, and preparing students for lifelong success. And that's a resounding note that I heard from all three of the people interviewed so far. The next one is going to be systems and accountability. Clear systems and accountability stood out as a pillar for each leader that I talked to. Driving consistent improvement and sustainability. So that you want consistency, you want just this awesome growth, but you got to have systems in place. Number 5 is going to be resilience and overcoming resistance. Each leader shared their story of overcoming resistance and being persistent and showcasing the success of their initiative. I heard each individual not just talk about what they brought to the table, but they talked about what their team brought to the table. I think that is important because, as a leader, you want to make sure that you are empowering all of the people that are around you, putting them in positions. And next is empowering students and teachers. You can't carry the weight of the assignment by yourself. It's just not happening. You're going to need to make sure that your product, which are the students, you got to make sure you build teacher capacity. So empowerment was a central theme there. And when students and teachers are trusted, they rise to the occasion and flourish. Yeah, that's super important. Community. So if you're talking about these different stakeholders, you look at staff, you look at students, you look at parents, the community. You have to build some pride, and reigniting pride in schools and communities helps to renew a sense of purpose and make them feel like they belong. Right? If I don't feel like I belong, I'm not going to provide as much. So I heard that resounding thought across all three: being innovative and being able to adapt. So innovation was a consistent thread. Leaders with those leaders that I talked about, and adapting to the challenges through creative and forward thinking approaches, right? So you're going to have to be a forward thinker. You're going to have a growth mindset. If you don't have a growth, you got to have a fixed mindset. Always been this way. This is what's going to happen. No, you got to have this mindset that says, although this is a task that we're taking on, let me provide some clear direction, put the right people on the bus so that we can go. So I'm sure this list is going to definitely grow as I interview more people. And it's just exciting to hear what's happening. Many times we hear what's going wrong, but it's good to hear what's going right. You take those things and it inspire you to provide something better for your school, or reshape staff or school. So, I'm talking to one educator from each state. I figure out about Alaska. Somebody help me. You know somebody from Alaska, please let me know. All right. So I'm looking forward to painting this picture that there are great things happening in our world, in our states. So this is just 3 of the 50. I have a next gentleman that's coming up, which is going to be Saturday at 9 a.m. Central Time. Dr. Smalls out of New Jersey. And looking forward to the conversation around what's happening in New Jersey. He has a new book coming out. We're going to have a great conversation. So, if you want to hear the full conversations, I've given you an overview, but I would encourage you to go check out those videos and leave a comment. Let them know, because there are definitely people that are viewing. So check out the episodes on our YouTube channel. It's going to be Tony Kimball TV, and also on the podcast as well, on all the podcast platforms. If you're riding in your car, go ahead, put that podcast up. And I appreciate you stopping by. If you know inspiring educators that should be featured, listen, let me know. come talk to me. Holler at me. Leave a comment here if you're on social media. Let's talk, DM, and together let's transform lives. One story at a time. That's my goal. And now here's what I need you to do. Now this is your homework. Go ahead, subscribe, share it with an educator, a buddy, and let's build this network of transformational leaders across all 50. All right. So thank you for tuning in. This is just a recap of Transforming Lives podcast show. 50 educators, 50 states. Till next time, keep inspiring transformation, your corner of the world.